everyone, so today I am making another winter soap batch. This one is going to be Winter Nog, I think I'm going to call it. And it's kind of an eggnog, it's kind of a warmth. It's a dupe of a Yognog type scent. I've never smelled the original, I just know it's a nice like bakery warm type scent. So I thought I'd give this a go for today. I'm going to add in my lye solution. Now you may notice there's quite the absence of lye lint compared to usual. And the difference is I did not put a fan on it and try to bring the temperature down very quickly. I mixed it up first thing this morning and it's now getting close to dinner time. And that has allowed it just to cool and do its thing, and it helped to avoid the lye lint. Tapping out the air bubbles out of the shaft. Okay, so I'm going to add in the coconut milk. I've turned off my air conditioner for today's video, even though it's like 85 degrees outside at the time that I'm making this. So I thought maybe it would be a little nicer if we didn't have to listen to that racket. I think I'll make this for a while, maybe a little toasty by the time I'm done, but alright, so what I want to do here is I need to split it off because I don't want it all to be scented. So I've increased my batch size for the fluffy top, so I'll have plenty, and reduced my fragrance oil because it's going to be down there in the main part of the soap. So actually I want some, I'm going to have like a gold layer, and I'm not sure if this container is big enough. It's not, so I'm going to put it in this one. About like so, it'll be easier to mix anyway. And then here's my big container. Okay, let me think this one through for a minute. I'm gonna put a little bit of the gold back. We'll just do a thin layer maybe of the gold. I'm thinking at the moment. Thinking as I go. I think I'm more interested in the fluffy top and less in the gold. So, you know what? I'm just putting it all back in because I'm just not that interested in losing so much scent via the gold where the white's going to be unscented as well. So we're just going to do a mica line and call it good, I do believe. Just avoid that whole like gold layer. Alright, so goggles are steaming up. Alright, so into this base, in with the fragrance oil. Now it said it only had like 1.8% vanillin, but you know how those things can be. Sometimes they don't even have to have vanillin and they'll still turn. I thought, well, if it doesn't, that'll be great. But if it does, we're just going to plan on that. I just added some gold. If it doesn't turn much, which I find it just so unlikely, then it'll have a nice gold, like yellowy eggnog look. But if it does turn and it's brown, then, you know, that's just the way it's gonna go. We're just gonna be happy with it. Not adding any titanium dioxide to the base because I just don't want any of those wonky titanium dioxide speckles. They just sometimes come along. So this is playing quite nicely. So it looks like I'm gonna have to just take a little bit. Okay, so that didn't take very long. I did stick blend it just a smidgen more, and then I cleaned off my stick blender. So it's ready to pour. I need to pour it from the opposite corner so it doesn't mix in all that uncolored. So I'm going to scrape this off and I'll come back. Okay, so I'm going to do the mica line. I'm just thinking here. I'm going to smooth out that little dollop there. So I'm going to use just some shimmer gold mica in a tea strainer. And just put on it has to be a thin enough layer that it'll like kind of soak in, but not so thin that you can't see it. But if you get it too thick, you run the risk of your top layer splitting away from it. So it's important to do the right amount. Like kind of what I look for is for it to be kind of soaked in with a little bit sitting on the top in spots. Okay, better stop there. Was put the majority of my titanium dioxide into a little container and then blend it back out and pour it back in. I just don't want to run the risk of wonky titanium dioxide. It's all foamy and weird again. But we're gonna roll with it. Tapping out the air bubbles. They're still coming out. I still hear them. So that may or may not be enough, but I'm going to go ahead and use it because I don't want too much. I don't want glycerin rivers. So I'm going to pour this back in. I'm not looking for this to be white because white is not really necessary. This needs to be, you know, a contrast to the base color. So this is much too thin to dollop. So we wait. Okay, so I'm ready to proceed. This has gotten quite thick. Kind of need it where I can see it too. So the first thing I'm going to do, well, that's not thick enough now, is it? Seemed thicker than that. That's fine. I wanted to get this base layer down. I prefer not to see the layer underneath. I don't know, I've just decided that. what we'll do is get this in. I have found having a ladle in the soaping room is very handy. This is from Webstaurant.com, so it's quite large in general. So I kind of like how dollopy it is, but I don't know that I am ready to proceed. Let me see. It's fallen down in pretty good, so I think we wait more. Alrighty, here, trying again. It's quite a bit thicker now. So let's see how, there we go. That's kind of what I wanted. Not really worrying about rows so much. I just thought I would kind of go in a row as if I was splitting the bars, but I'm not, like I said, not worried about it if it's not even, because you know how it is with me. I'm not very good at that whole lining them up in the rows process. So we're just kind of rolling with it. It's going to kind of make it floofy in general. In fact, I think I'm just going to just dollop it around is what I think I'm going to do. I figured I will probably shrink wrap these bars. Alright, I changed my mind. I just can't keep up with myself today, so I've been just going back and forth, flipping the soap up to kind of create a raised section. So I just kind of marked where my lines are supposed to be and just been messing around back and forth. Only get it the way I want it. Still kind of thin. So, alright, I think that's fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to finish it off with a little bit of a dollop down the middle. I'm hoping that it'll hold. It's a little thin still, but I have other things to do today, so I'm just gonna have to move on here. I think it's gonna look all right in the end. All right, so I have a little bit of nutmeg, and I just thought it would be fun just to sprinkle on just the teeny tiniest amount. Just enough to give it that, hello, I am something warm and spicy. Just like so. I think that's good. I'm going to call it good. Alright guys, so here we have the Winter Nog soap. Turn it a little bit more so you can see it better. And I will see you back here for the cut. Hello, so I'm back to cut the Winter's Nog soap, and it is so shimmery and delightful on the inside. It's already discolored quite a bit. I have a little end piece here. This is what the final color is going to be. The inside, or well, it's the outside. It's the inside furthermost to the outside. So it has mostly discolored, which I'm very pleased with this color. It's very pretty. And then you can see what the full, you know, discolored side. It smells so good. It's like a little warm. It's a little nutty. It's not strong. I don't like stuff that's overly buttery, overly kind of like caramely noted. So this is not that, not at this stage in the cure anyway. I just love the top. Now, it did bleed a little bit because I sprayed the tops with some alcohol, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. I shouldn't have done that. So the spices did, I think it was just nutmeg, actually, I think. Anyway, so it did discolor just a little bit, around a little bit of bleeding. I think it gives it character. So my loaves actually split really well. I was going to try to show all the loaf splitting this time with the holiday winter soaps, but just based on time, I had to get them split and hardening, and most of the bars have been cut already. So that's the deal. I am having a cutting marathon. It would have been ideal to kind of leave it or do it as I went, but I've had to have a bit of a cutting marathon here today. So I've had to drop out some of the cutting. So that's right here, you know, on the edge is pretty close to what it's going to be like final. And there's that mica line that separates it. Often if you have a discoloring fragrance, if you don't put a mica line, it will absorb and bleed up into the your uncolored portion. So doing a mica line like this usually prevents that. I actually have had it happen on super duper dark just because they were pretty much touching each other, and that's just all there was to it. This is not an in-your-face eggnog scent. It isn't even sold as eggnog. I don't remember what I said in the making at this point. It is a... I keep putting my soap up there, and I need them away. Looks like I cut this one. Yeah, I still needed to take an end piece off of it. So here we have that end. This one may end up in the Gone Wonky department. Okay, that's really pretty. You can, if I can get it to focus, I don't know if you could see the shimmer, but there's a shimmer all through here because the gold mica was shimmery. So that's a fun thing, even when you have a discoloring fragrance, is to use a shimmering mica, shimmering gold mica especially. So one of my loaves, because my mold is just a smidgen over what is equal for the loaves, which I do 2.5 inch wide loaves. So my mold is just a hair over 10 inches. So I always have one loaf that's a little bit wider. They still fit in my boxes, but just a hair wider. I try to adjust just a little so that each loaf is just a smidgen over 2.5, but anyway, I was just saying, in case you noticed it. Sometimes they're just a little bit wider on one of the end loaves. I love it. Like I said, it's just like just kind of a warm, it's like a nutty, it's just kind of warm, and it's a subtle because there's, you know, restrictions on our usage rates on a lot of things, especially when there's spices. So I don't know if many of you know it, the soap makers will, but we have levels that we have to adhere to. So we can't, it's not just one size fits all with each fragrance, or, you know, like 1 ounce per pound of oil. That doesn't always work. We have to deal with some fragrances can only be used at certain percentage levels. So we have to adjust them accordingly. And so sometimes that affects the scent intensity, but overall I don't believe in many cases, it doesn't make it not worth using, if that makes sense. So here we have a waiting on discoloration soap here, and we have Winter Snug soap. Alright guys, I'll see you back here for the next one.